Disgraced music mogul Sean Diddy Combs is facing more scrutiny. Federal prosecutors have accused Combs of witness tampering.
They allege that he has been trying to improperly contact victims, witnesses, and other people.
The prosecution telling the judge about attempts they say the rap mogul made from behind bars.
P. Diddy ringing in the new year with a jailhouse meltdown,
Accusing them of not only allegedly targeting their client in an unconstitutional raid of his cell.
As Sean Combs files a $50 million lawsuit.
Seeing Diddy Combs' legal challenges have intensified, with federal prosecutors alleging that he attempted to influence witness testimony while incarcerated. They claim he utilized unauthorized phone calls, secret messaging services, and misused prison communication privileges to manipulate the narrative. These allegations add to his existing serious charges, including sex trafficking and racketeering. The new claims could jeopardize his chances of obtaining bail and further complicate his legal situation as his defense team contests the prosecution's assertions. Additional accusers continue to come forward with troubling allegations. With a high-profile trial scheduled for May 5, 2025, the case is emerging as a significant celebrity scandal, placing the once untouchable music mogul at the center of a controversy that could reshape perceptions of justice for the wealthy and influential.
Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs is facing more scrutiny. Federal prosecutors have accused Combs of witness tampering from behind bars. He's in jail. The prosecution filed another motion on Friday urging the judge to not grant bail to the hip-hop star. They say he deployed a, quote, relentless effort to contact potential witnesses, including victims of his abuse, who could provide powerful testimony against him. And he's doing that, again, from behind bars. Now, for context, Combs was arrested, charged in September with trafficking, racketeering, and transportation to engage.
Seeing Diddy Combs' legal challenges have intensified, with federal prosecutors alleging that he attempted to tamper with witnesses while in custody. According to court filings, Combs purportedly used unauthorized methods, including three-way calls and illicit messaging services, to contact potential witnesses and victims. Prosecutors argue that these actions underscore his continued influence and pose a threat to the judicial process. These allegations have contributed to multiple denials of bail, as judges express concerns over potential witness tampering. Combs remains in custody at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, awaiting his trial scheduled for May 5, 2025.
Prosecution telling the judge about attempts they say the rap mogul made from behind bars to influence everyone from potential jury to alleged victims.
Who's the boss? Dudes is lost. Don't think cause I'm iced out, I'ma cool off.
This morning, prosecutors leveling new accusations against Sean Diddy Combs, saying he poses a serious risk of danger even from behind bars as he awaits trial. In a court filing late Friday, prosecutors detailing the steps they say Combs is taking while locked up to reach out to prospective witnesses and influence public opinion to affect potential jurors.
The accusations within the prosecution's motion to deny bail are very serious and will be considered very heavily by the judge, because the judge is going to want to ensure that he is not influencing witnesses and or contacting anyone to influence a trial in any way.
Combs has pleaded not guilty to charges of racketeering, transportation to engage in prostitution, and sex trafficking. He denies any.
Prosecutors allege that Sean Diddy Combs employed various methods to communicate with unauthorized individuals while detained at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. According to court filings, one such method involved instructing associates and family members to facilitate three-way calls, enabling him to speak with individuals not on his approved contact list. Prosecutors argue that this tactic allowed Combs to exert influence over potential witnesses despite his incarceration. Additionally, Combs is accused of using other inmates' phone access codes and unauthorized messaging services to reach outside contacts, further circumventing prison communication protocols. These actions have led to multiple denials of bail, as judges express concerns over potential witness tampering and obstruction of justice.
Pointing to recorded phone calls from jail. They said Combs asked family members to reach out to potential victims and witnesses, urging them to create narratives to influence a jury pool. Allegations that could land Combs in even more trouble.
Diddy's jail calls can be used at trial if they are able to support the prosecution's case in chief. They can also provide grounds for additional criminal charges to be filed against him.
All of this while a Hulu documentary is set to be released Monday.
Same as Shine. Kid is nice.
Called The Honorable Shine, about a young rapper who says he took the rap for a nightclub shooting involving Combs and then girlfriend Jennifer Lopez.
Puffy got acquitted and he got 10 years.
He was betrayed.
I was absolutely set up to be the fall guy.
Moses Shine Levy Barrow, now running for president of Belize, says he was betrayed by
Dean Diddy Combs has been accused of violating prison regulations by using other inmates' phone access codes to make unauthorized calls. Prosecutors allege that he compensated fellow inmates to gain access to their phone accounts, enabling him to contact individuals not on his approved contact list and circumvent monitoring systems. These actions are claimed to have been part of a broader effort to influence public opinion and potentially intimidate witnesses ahead of his trial. Combs' legal team has acknowledged these violations, which have been central to the prosecution's arguments against granting him bail.
To the latest filing, Combs is accused of using other inmates' phone access codes, those are known as PAC numbers, to contact several people from behind bars, including his sons. He's also accused of making three-way calls to get a hold of people and using a third-party service called Contact Me ASAP to contact unauthorized individuals, presumably ASAP. Though much of the prosecutor's claims have been redacted from the court filing, they claim clear interference with the intent to blackmail victims and witnesses into staying quiet. Combs' defense insists the prosecution's case is thin, and the mogul should be released from jail and put under home detention with 24/7 monitoring, plus, quote, near total restrictions on Combs' ability to contact anyone aside from his defense.
Dean Diddy Combs is accused of using a third-party messaging service called Contact Me ASAP to send hundreds of text messages from jail. Prosecutors allege that this service allowed him to obscure his communications with attorneys, family members, and other key individuals, thereby violating detention center regulations. They contend that these actions demonstrate Combs' continued efforts to influence the case from behind bars.
Telling Conan O'Brien about his, quote, freakouts back in 2002.
Okay, now, we need alcohols.
Right.
Alcohols.
Right. Not just one alcohol.
Alcohols.
Right, just different blend. You need the ladies, you need the booze.
You need some water.
For watering plants?
No, I don't know if guys have noticed this, like, a lot of ladies drink water at parties. They just, so you have, if you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave.
Right.
Gotta keep them there.
Right.
You need locks on the doors.
Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
It's a little kinky, but
yeah.
Rock with me, but just check it out. You need a lot of heat. A lot of heat. Yeah.
Heat. You mean that physically the place has to be hot?
You don't have no air conditioning.
No air conditioning.
No.
Why is that?
Heat affects the alcohol, and it also affects, like, everybody gets a little bit more comfortable and loose. Builds up a nice little sweat.
That just sounds disgusting. What are you doing?
No. Depends on the way you look at it.
Depends. Oh, people start getting it gets kind of sticky. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Federal prosecutors are leveraging allegations of witness tampering to oppose Diddy Combs' latest bail request. Despite his legal team's proposal of a $50 million bail package, including house arrest and no internet access, the government contends that Combs' actions, while incarcerated, demonstrate his capacity to manipulate the legal process. They argue that even under stringent release conditions, his substantial resources could enable further interference with the case. Consequently, the court has denied his bail request, citing a serious risk of witness tampering.
Bombshells after bombshells in the government's new filing in the Sean Diddy Combs case. Trafficking, racketeering, prostitution case. I don't need to repeat all the allegations. You know what they all are by now. But prosecutors from the Southern District of New York submitted an opposition brief to Sean Combs' motion for bail. that they are hoping that this new judge, in this case, Judge Arun Subramanian, will hear. And as we're going to lay out, prosecutors say not only is Sean Combs not entitled to bail, but essentially he shouldn't even get a hearing on this. And remember, Combs is currently in detention at the Metropolitan Detention Center out in Brooklyn, New York, after being denied bail by other judges. The main issues keeping him locked away are that the courts have held that the prosecutors have shown that he is a danger on the outside. He's a potential flight risk. Most notably was evidence put forward that he had been improperly contacting victims and witnesses in this case. And as we discussed on previous sidebars, Sean Combs' counsel has denied all of this. They have indicated that all of those conversations were not done with the intent to engage in witness tampering or obstruction. And even, at least they say, one witness had contacted Combs, not the other way around. Well, the government has come out with new evidence of its own to justify pretrial detention. And let me just read you this from the beginning of their brief. They say, while attempting to evade law enforcement monitoring, the defendant has, among other things, orchestrated social media campaigns that are, in his own words, aimed at tainting the jury pool, made efforts to publicly leak materials he views as helpful to his case, and contacted witnesses through third parties.
Diddy Combs' defense team has denied witness tampering allegations, calling them exaggerated. Attorney Bradford Cohen argues that third-party calls and outside contacts are common among inmates and don't indicate criminal intent. He questions the prosecution's evidence, stating there's no clear proof of threats or blackmail. Cohen emphasizes that the defense hasn't been given sufficient evidence to support the allegations, urging the court to consider the lack of direct proof in the bail request. The case remains complex as both sides prepare to present more evidence.
This happens all the time in like every single case. They only make a big deal about it in this case. So the third party calling, when I can tell you in my 30 years, 28 years of practice, third party calling has been done in probably 90% of the cases that I have. In fact, sometimes third party calling to me. So what they would do is they'd get one of their friends on the line, and then that friend would then third party me in. And I always have to tell them, hey, this is an attorney-client privilege. You got a third party on the line. And when you have a third party on the line, anything we say is not attorney-client.
Diddy Combs faces serious legal challenges, including charges of trafficking, racketeering, and coercion. A federal investigation initiated in September 2024 has uncovered allegations spanning decades, with multiple victims accusing Combs of orchestrating exploitative events. Some of these claims involve minors at the time of the alleged incidents, intensifying the severity of the case. In addition to these charges, Combs is accused of witness tampering, further complicating his legal situation. Prosecutors argue that his actions demonstrate a continued effort to influence the legal process from behind bars. As the legal proceedings advance, the combination of these serious allegations presents significant challenges for Combs' defense team.
Currently scheduled for May 5th, 2025. Now, so much of this case has been in the shadows, right? And that we don't know exactly what the evidence is per se, who the witnesses will be, the identity of the alleged victims, all of the key events, times, locations. We may get more information in the months and the weeks leading up to the trial, but right now, we got something big we got to talk about. So Sean Combs' attorneys have filed a letter, filed it yesterday, we're talking about it today, where they are asking the court to order the government to electronically produce some very key evidence in this case. What? The videos of the freak-offs. Remember what these are? The prosecutors allege that Combs would intimidate, threaten, and lure women into extended sex acts with male sex workers using force, threats, or coercion. The freak-offs that Combs filmed and recorded these freak-offs. Well, the reason the defense wants this electronically produced, the reason they want copies of this, and they need the court to step in, is because under the current protective order that has been put forward in this case regarding how evidence will be viewed and disseminated, the video evidence is available for inspection.
As the trial date nears, media coverage of seeing Diddy Combs intensifies, with documentaries revealing new allegations. One includes a Michigan inmate who claims Combs assaulted him in the 1990s. In September 2024, a judge ruled in favor of Derek Lee Cardello Smith, who accused Combs of drugging and sexually assaulting him at a 1997 party, awarding him $100 million in damages. These developments have increased public scrutiny of Combs as the legal proceedings unfold.
Michigan inmate has been awarded $100 million in his civil lawsuit against infamous music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. The judgment was issued to 51-year-old Derek Lee Cardello Smith yesterday. He accuses Diddy of drugging and sexually assaulting him at a party in Detroit back in 1997. Combs did not appear for the hearing in the case yesterday. The judge made a default judgment and also issued a temporary restraining order against Combs. Cardello Smith is currently serving time in Muskegon Heights for an unrelated conviction, and some are calling this the largest judgment awarded to a current inmate in state history. Now, Diddy's attorney is responding to our request for comment, writing in part, Mr. Combs has never heard of him, let alone been served with any lawsuit. Mr. Combs looks forward to having this judgment swiftly dismissed.
Diddy Combs' legal team has accused federal prosecutors of violating his constitutional rights during an October 2024 jail search, claiming investigators unlawfully photographed privileged legal notes crucial to his defense. The defense is seeking a hearing on the matter. Prosecutors argue the notes suggest attempts to obstruct justice and are admissible as evidence. This dispute highlights tensions between the defense and prosecution, with the outcome potentially affecting the trial's evidence. For more details on the defense's position, watch the following video.
New big development around Diddy as we're following this case very closely here on Live Now from Fox, as Diddy's lawyers say the feds raided his jail cell and seized a bunch of privileged material. So an interesting one, to say the least, about this. I want to put up some posts here from former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani about this, saying Diddy's lawyers are claiming that it violates his Fourth Amendment right. However, inmates don't have Fourth Amendment expectation of privacy in prison, so that argument is weak. Guards can search his cell without probable cause or a warrant. So a big development there in terms of this. Privileged material, different. The feds usually have a taint or dirty team of agents who aren't working on the case to conduct these searches. That way, if they see privileged materials, the clean team won't be disqualified from the case. It goes on to say as well, the prosecutors have reason to believe Diddy is obstructing justice from the prison by contacting witnesses through intermediaries. They made the same argument during his bail hearing. I think they have evidence to back it up. All right, as we continue on, witness tampering also falls under the crime fraud exemption to attorney-client.
Diddy Combs' legal team has accused federal prosecutors of violating his constitutional rights during an October 2024 jail cell search, claiming investigators unlawfully accessed and photographed privileged legal notes. The defense argues this breach compromised attorney-client confidentiality. Prosecutors deny the accusations, stating the search was routine and a filter team handled any privileged materials. The judge has not yet decided on a hearing, but if the defense's claims are upheld,
defense is going on the offense here, and they filed a motion alleging these constitutional violations, Fourth, Fifth, Sixth Amendment violations, and outrageous government conduct. And they're trying to argue, and Judge Subramanian is actually going to hold a hearing on this. He's the presiding judge in the case, whether the government did anything wrong. And of course, prosecutors, on the other hand, are going to go on the offensive themselves. And they're saying that Diddy is trying to obstruct justice, tamper with witnesses, trying to dissuade them either by blackmailing or threatening them, or even outright bribing them to change their testimony. This is a case that's going to come down entirely to the testimony of those witnesses and victims. So to the extent that they go sideways or do a 180 or change their stories at trial, that's really the only chance that Diddy's defense team has here.
I want to ask you about how the feds go about this, because the searching there of the jail cell for Diddy, they don't necessarily need a warrant. How does that typically happen?
So when you're in custody, really your Fourth Amendment privilege goes out the window. Those rights, those constitutional rights to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures, it requires an expectation of privacy. And you just don't have that in prison. So the clearest example I like to give is, if you're in custody, your phone calls can and will be recorded. Obviously, you and I, out as free people, we have rights that prevent that from happening. You need a warrant, you need a wiretap or something like that. You don't need that one.
In the ongoing legal proceedings against Diddy Combs, A significant point of contention revolves around video evidence referred to as freak-off tapes. Prosecutors assert that these recordings are crucial evidence of Combs' alleged trafficking and coercion activities. They claim that the tapes depict orchestrated and recorded sexual performances involving coercion and exploitation. As the trial approaches, the handling and interpretation of this video evidence will be pivotal. The court's decision on the admissibility and presentation of these tapes will significantly influence the trajectory of the case.
This is even more important. Combs' lawyers argue that we need these videos because they prove our client didn't commit the crimes he's charged with. In their letter, they write, quote, "Having reviewed these videos, it is now abundantly clear that they confirm Mr. Combs' innocence and that their full exculpatory value cannot be investigated and used unless they are electronically produced. The 9 videos at issue are the so-called freak-off tapes with victim 1 that the government has repeatedly referenced, causing wild speculation in the media. Contrary to what the government has led this court and the public to believe, the so-called freak-offs were private sexual activity between fully consenting adults in a long-term relationship. Like many Americans in the privacy of their own bedrooms, they sometimes filmed their sexual activity. These videos unambiguously show that the person alleged in the indictment to be victim 1 not only consented, but thoroughly enjoyed herself." And we believe, by the way, victim 1 to be Cassandra Ventura. This is Diddy's ex who first filed that initial sexual assault lawsuit.
In the legal case against scene Diddy Combs, a key issue involves video evidence, known as freak-off tapes. Prosecutors argue these recordings show coerced and exploitative sexual acts, while Combs' defense claims the tapes depict consensual encounters between adults in a long-term relationship. The defense has requested full access to the videos, but Judge Arun Subramanian has ruled they can only view them at designated locations, citing privacy concerns. This restriction could impact the defense's ability to prepare their case as the trial approaches, making the handling of this evidence crucial to the outcome.
No means do I think this is any good for the state if it is the government, if it is exactly what they're saying that it is, if it depicts everything that they're saying, if the defense is right and it depicts these things. By no means is it good for the state, for the government. The question really becomes, how are they going to use those tapes? Are they using the tapes? Obviously, she's going to have to testify that she was under physical and mental abuse, and that's why she participated in these things. Whether or not a jury believes that is going to be a very big leap. But do I think that's the only evidence they have? Probably not. If the government is the government in the Southern District of New York, I can't imagine this is what they're hanging their hat on if it's what the defense describes. It's like one of those things that when you have a weakness in a case, the government has to decide how they're going to use that. My guess is they're going to use it to show that there were workers, that these workers were paid. I would imagine that they have the workers that are in the video to come in and describe what was going on or what happened before they went on tape, whether or not they had drugs or alcohol or anything else, whether or not Cassie had drugs or alcohol, whether or not there was a discussion between Sean Combs and Cassie before the tape started. So
Right.
I think that the tape is going to be one portion of it, but the testimony of either the sex workers that were in the video and or Cassie is going to kind of tie it together.
It seems like the situation surrounding Combs is becoming more complicated with the new allegations and legal decisions. The judge's ruling to remove the original letter from the court records, while allowing a redacted version, highlights the ongoing tension around the privacy of sensitive information in legal proceedings. The continued emergence of new accusers, like Nicole, adds another layer to the case, and it appears the legal process will unfold with even more scrutiny. The details of these accusations are deeply troubling, and it seems the situation may have significant consequences for Combs moving forward.